this video, I'm going to show you the exact meta setup that I use to help grow a D2C brand from $0 in sales to over $1 million in sales in less than 12 months. If your brand is small and you actually want to start growing, or if you're an enterprise business spending tens of thousands of dollars a day, this is the exact simplified structure that you are going to want to use for scale. Hey everybody, I am Ben Salka. I quit an $80,000 a year corporate job to start this business and post content about paid ads and AI. I've managed over $10 million in ad spend across Meta, Google, Amazon, and other channels, most of which was for e-commerce brands. And I make these videos to help you learn more, sell more, and get more out of your life. I'm going to show you exactly how I structured one of my clients' Meta ads accounts for scale, profit maximization, and clean creative workflows, which is so important in 2026 and beyond. This is an insanely simple setup. We're going to keep it to two different campaigns. One is creative testing and one is called scaling, and I'm going to show you exactly what those are and how to set those up. And at the very end, I'm going to show you how to create an automated rule in Meta ads so that your ads automatically pause off if they aren't profitable or hitting your goals. So make sure to hit subscribe or your CPMs might go up. I don't make the rules. Let's get into it. Jumping over to the Google Sheet to show you the structure. This is the exact map that we're going to be building in Ads Manager, starting with the small brand tab. We'll get into the big brand tab as well if you're more enterprise and need more of a comprehensive setup. We have two different types of campaigns. First is creative testing, which is very self-explanatory, and so is scaling, by the way. Like I said, this is very simple. The purpose of this is to test new ads and find winners. The scaling campaign is to spend on proven winners. So once you find that an ad is a winner from creative testing, you'll duplicate it and shift it over to scaling. And this is the structure I'm going to show you. But we like to keep this super clean so that you can do this on a regular cadence, whether that's every week, every 2 weeks, every month, whatever makes sense for your specific brand. From a budget allocation perspective, we typically do a 60-40 split between creative testing and scaling. There obviously is going to be some nuance to this, but when you're testing a lot of ads, there tends to be a lot of churn. You're moving additional creatives into the content engine, into that campaign, and testing budget tends to need to be able to support that churn, which is why it's a little bit higher. I linked this entire sheet, this table, in the description below so you can go grab it for free, but let's jump into the creative testing campaign setup in Meta Ads. All right, as I said, the purpose of creative testing campaign is literally one job. It's to find your winners and to find winning ads efficiently. Jumping over to column G here, the way that I organize this for smaller brands is I organize ad sets by SKU so that it stays super clean and super simplified. For bigger brands with multiple hero SKUs, the way that I'll organize this, jumping over to the big brand tab here, is putting SKUs at the campaign level, and then at the ad set level, we'll organize them by different angles. So whether that be problem solution, video testimonial, social proof, UGC, different types of angles that we could chase after, and the respective naming conventions are in this document. So basically the same structure as the small brand, but we're just going to run this same exact structure per hero SKU. So I'm going to show you my default settings when I actually go and set up this campaign. So I'm going to click on create sales, obviously, because this is e-com. Campaign naming convention, super simple. I'm just going to name this sales creative testing. If you had a specific SKU, I would throw in that SKU in here for the bigger brand setup. You want to make sure the budget is set at the campaign level to take advantage of Andromeda. Daily budget, I typically recommend anywhere between 2 to 3 times AOV. If you don't have that much money to spend on Meta ads right now, that's totally fine. You can still use this setup. It just might take a little bit longer to see results or to get learnings. Not going to adjust anything else on this page, but we could set this budget. Let's say my AOV is 50. Let's set it to 150. Jumping down to the ad set level. So for ad sets, like I said, the naming convention for small brands is going to be the name of that hero SKU. So product name dash broad. So let's just do red shoes broad. Your conversion location, you'll update to just website. Conversion event is obviously going to be purchased, but like I said, I'm not going to go through all the granular settings. For your performance goal, this one is important. I usually use maximize number of conversions, but you can also use maximize value of conversions. Just make sure you use one of these and not one of the other goals that are non-conversion focused. One thing that is really important that I want to show you is putting these ad set spending limits in place. So if you have multiple different ad sets within a campaign and the budget is set at the campaign level, Meta by default can choose to distribute that budget however it wants. So if you had 5 different SKUs in 5 different ad sets in this campaign, Meta could give $0 to one of them if it wanted to, based on whatever it thinks it should spend the money. So The way that I'll set this up is use these ad set spending limits. I'm not going to show you exactly what I would use because it's kind of nuanced based on how many ad sets you have and what SKU priority each SKU has. But inputting an average daily minimum and an average daily maximum budget to each ad set will ensure that each one of them gets its due. Okay, jumping down to the ad level. For the naming convention, we use product, angle, funnel stage, and then variant. So it would be like red shoes. Again, we'll say that the angle is problem solution. And then I would put in like a unique identifier as well in here, like whatever the name of the creative is, like in your Google Drive or your Dropbox, like give it a unique ID so that you can reference it when it's in your Google Drive and know like which is which. So let's say like red shoes demo, something random. Say red shoes demo, something random. And then we'll do middle of funnel, let's say, and then say this is a video creative. The reason that the funnel stage is important is for your use, not necessarily Meta's algorithms use. Meta analyzes the copy and the ad itself to determine when it makes sense to show an ad to somebody or when that message is relevant. The reason that I put that in there and why the funnel stage should be baked into your creative workflow and your research process is so that you can gauge performance at each level of the funnel. But that's the setup, and then you'd literally just take this, you create a new ad set, and then you do that for each one of your hero SKUs for creative testing. Obviously, you'd want to add in your ad creative here, but I'm not going to show that in this video. You should know how to do that at this point. All right, I wanted to show you the ad set level for creative testing, adding a bunch of different ad sets. Let's say you had a different ad set for 5 different SKUs. In this instance, they're 5 different shoes. We have black shoes, purple shoes, green shoes, blue shoes, red shoes. You throw in your ad creatives for those individual SKUs in there, both statics and videos. Like I said, somewhere around 3, 4, 5, or 6 in each ad set, and then you would put those ad set spending limits in place, minimums and maximums, so that each of these ad sets gets enough budget. But that's what that would look like in practice. So what is my testing rule for ads when I think it makes sense to either graduate them or cut them off? I like to let each ad spend 2 to 3 times AOV, and then I decide. I don't want to cut it off too early, and I also don't want to cut it off too late. So 2 to 3 times AOV is a good spot. So if your AOV was like $50, you'd want to let it run until it spends about $100 or $150 before cutting it off, keeping your specific margins in mind. For this brand that we drove from 0 to 1 million plus in sales, their target was 3 to 3.5 range for scaling. So that's what we would look for. If it was anything under that, like anything under 2.5 really for them was something we wanted to cut off completely. Your numbers might be different, but the system is still the same. And as we tested this, we were actually able to increase AOV for this specific client from like $30-ish to almost $60. So that was huge as well. All right, here's how you're going to set up your scaling campaign. So right now I only have the creative testing campaign in place. So I'm going to show you how to do it if you don't have a scaling campaign, but the setup is very simple if you already do have a scaling campaign in place. So I'm going to click into this. We have our different ad sets here like I showed you. Let's say we're looking at black shoes. There's a couple ads in black shoes that have performed really well. They've spent the amount that we want them to spend. They're hitting our ROAS goals, etc. And I know that my columns here don't exactly line up with e-commerce, but like I said, this is a demo account. So this is for the sake of the structure. Ignore some of the other little details. So we have these 2 ads. Let's say these 2 ads are absolutely crushing it, these bottom 2. What you're going to do is take those, you'll duplicate them. If you already have a scaling campaign, you'd click on existing campaign. If you're a small brand, like I said, you'll only have that one scaling campaign, and then you'll have ad sets for each SKU, so you'd want to add it to the right ad set. If you're a bigger brand, you would have different scaling campaigns for different SKUs or for other objectives. That's how you would make that duplication. So since I don't have one, I'm just going to do new campaign. The name of this campaign, I'm just going to call it sales scaling. If this was for a bigger brand, I would name it sales and then have that specific SKU or other objective in here as well, and then scaling. For ad set, there is an ad set naming convention that I use for both small brands and big brands. It's usually product name, broad, winners, and then date. So we'll do black shoes, broad, winners, and then today's the 18th. So let's say 3/18. And then we're going to duplicate them. Okay, so now that we have this new scaling campaign, like I said, we use that 60-40 split with 60% going to creative testing and 40% going into a new campaign. It's going to take the same budget from the other campaign. So if you want to set this to whatever 40% is, you don't necessarily have to abide by that rule. Something around there has worked well for us. but you would want to adjust that budget accordingly. Just make sure the budget's set at the campaign level and you should be good to go. So what you're going to do now that you have this scaling campaign, you'll let these 2 ads run. So these are the 2 ads that are within this winners ad set. You'll let these run until they've spent a decent amount and start performing well in this scaling campaign before you go and pause them down in the creative testing campaign. That's what I recommend. In that creative testing campaign, you're going to want to, as you do new creative tests, you'll create new ad sets for those new creative tests, and you'll put dates associated with them, just like we're doing here for the scaling campaign. So if we're testing new black shoes ads, let's say, and we have additional winners that surface over the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever, we would create another ad set for black shoes, broad winners, but then associate a new date with that. The reason that we do that is because we don't want to throw new ads into ad sets that are already running, especially if they're already performing well, because that's going to completely decimate the learnings in that campaign, because it's like throwing a wrench in something that's already working. So that's how we would set that up. Create new ad sets every time you have new winners. Create those new ad sets every time you have new winners for new SKUs. And if it starts to get, or 4 SKUs, if it starts to get too congested, it probably will start to make sense to break it out into a creative testing campaign and a scaling campaign for each individual SKU. But that's the setup. Like I said, this is the way you would want to have it initially set up for creative testing when you're just going live initially. But once you start to add, like, okay, we're testing creatives, our workflows are in a really good spot, you'll want to create additional ad sets within creative testing for each of those new creative testing ad sets. And this is the way we set it up. This is how we scaled this brand from $0 to $1 million. Is this a perfect setup? By no means. I'm sure there's other paid ads people out there that might criticize this setup, but it's worked well for us. It's worked well for this brand. And if you want to scale, it's just about having a creative workflow in place that's going to allow you to scale with taking advantage of the Andromeda algorithm update. 3 most common mistakes. Number 1 is obsessing over targeting over creative output. The investment of your time and resources needs to go into the creative workflow so you can test multiple ads per SKU, whatever makes sense for you, but just make sure the volume's increased and have a really good workflow in place. And this campaign structure is going to support that workflow. Number 2 is not using those ad set spending limits. These are going to be unique to you, but if you have multiple different ad sets with the budget set at the campaign level, you want to put those in place so that the budget is distributed according to the way you want it to be. And then number 3 is having bad testing discipline. You want to enforce that 2 to 3x AOV and spend rule before either deciding to pause something down or deciding to graduate it. We don't want you pausing ads too early and not getting enough statistically significant spend. And also, we don't want you pausing ads too late and wasting money. So I'm going to show you an automated rule that you can put in place so that you can automatically pause down those underperformers. Last thing I want to show you, and something that allows you to have testing discipline within these constraints, is putting an automated rule in place. So you're going to click this more drop down. I usually like to go over to manage rules and then just create it this way. But basically what I'm going to do is enforce this 2 to 3x AOV discipline. So you'd click on create rule, name this rule whatever you want, like 2 to 3x AOV threshold. So I would do, all active ads. Action would be to turn off ads if they've spent more than whatever 3x your AOV is, or 2x. Let's say our AOV is 50, 3x would be 150. I would add that, and then we would do if it's spent more than 150, and the ROAS is, you'll know what your targets are. Let's say if it's less than 2.5. So it's like 2.5 is unprofitable for them. If we spent more than 2.5 at $150 or more, that's statistically significant. That's not good performance for them. You'll know what these numbers are for you. That's the automated rule that you want to create. We'll do last 7 days. You can do last 7 days or last 14 days. Either of these are fine. Let's just do last 7 days. I like to run this continuously or daily, and you could choose either one of these, and then you'll click on create that rule. But that's how you can actively enforce that in a way that's automated and easy to control. All right, y'all, if you copy this setup, your account becomes simple to run. Testing finds winners, and scaling scales those winners. And if you like this, you'll love my video on Meta's AI advertising and creative features. A lot of D2C brands are not using these, and they should be. Thanks for your time, everybody. If you want to go from $0 to $1 million, definitely subscribe.